All right. Good morning. Good afternoon. Or good evening, family. welcome, welcome. Y'all, excuse me for a minute. Welcome to the Mental House. I am your host, Khadijah. Whatever side of the diaspora that you are on, I want to welcome you. As y'all can see, I got plenty of popcorn sitting in front of me, and I have to make this video. I'm probably on the late show, but I had to change the scenery a little bit and talk about the Lifetime movie with Michell'e and Dr. Dre, and that whole domestic violence situation. A lot of people, say, why in the world would she stay in such a situation? Those of us who are empathetic to the human condition and to the human programming, and we understand how it works, we can see perfectly well how she got herself involved in a situation like that. There was a specific scene in there as I eat my popcorn and share it with the rest of y'all. If you haven't seen it, I think it's great. I think it's great. I think it's about time Lifetime did a special that was decent. I thought that one hit the mark on so many ways, and that's important. First and foremost being how she was a little girl and watching a neighbor beat up his wife, just punch her around, and her grandmother giving her the information, well, honey, you just got to take that. If you want to be with a man, you have to take that kind of abuse. And it's amazing to me how females had to live in a way not only to survive, but in a way taking that abuse and then passing it on to their children, females in particular, as if that's acceptable, and then passing the mindset on to their men, their sons, that this type of behavior is acceptable. When you're emotionally wounded, you become physically violent. So you can imagine what that looks like in the black community, especially because we are so damn dysfunctional that we don't even see the dysfunction and the craziness that we do to ourselves. The only craziness and shit we see is when the police kill us. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not making no damn excuses for that shit. I'm not at all. But when I thought about Michell'e, then I had to bring it to my own life. And I don't know if I ever told y'all this story before, but back in the day, one of the reasons why I excluded myself from holding on and maintaining my power was I got involved with an individual who, promised me a lot of things that ultimately I could have done for myself. But because we are always looking for an easy way out sometimes as women, because we are made to receive things, and sometimes we can be the receptors of bad energy. I got involved with a person that said they was going to give me my own club, and I met him singing in the club, and it was ultimately an abusive relationship. It was ultimately a relationship that ended in. I mean, I don't want to get into all the details. Maybe, you know, at a later time, or in a different setting. In fact, I'm going to speak about all these things in a memoir that I'm putting together, because it's very interesting, some of the things that I've been through. But it ended up with me losing my desire to sing, which was at that time all I had, and it ended with me being running, doing things. Let's just put it like that: doing things that I had no business doing, from one end of the country to the next, for him. It was a verbally and a physically abusive relationship. I don't care if it was one time. It was still one time too many. I should have been gone. But it ended with this individual laying for me with a high-powered rifle, and the paranoia through the drug use had gotten so bad that they made everybody stay up all night long waiting for me, in an effort to kill me if I was to come back on the property. Now, mind you, I hadn't done anything except escape with my life, because I realized, like Michell'e, that I've lost too much of myself. I've lost so much of myself that it's not even funny no more. And so much time has passed, because one thing about when you're using drugs, you live in a fog. And so the fog that once I woke up from the fog and realized that we were a bunch of women who had given our power away, I knew better. I always felt that a wise man can act a fool, but a fool can't act a wise man. And even though my addictions and things led me to all kinds of places that was so far away from how I had been raised and how I had just disconnected from the God in me, I also knew that if I got away from this situation, I could possibly recover my sanity, at least to some degree. Because I'm just going to tell you, I was straight up insane. The things that I was doing were straight up insane. Okay? So when I looked at that story with Michell'e, let me eat some popcorn, because, honey, most musicians and people who are single driven, we are and can be narcissistic, but to the degree that you take your frustrations and your anger and all your bitterness and all your hurt and misguidance and everything out on the woman, you are a sick ticket and you need help. And that's all I saw when I saw Dr. Dre. I saw a powerful person that once money became involved, you saw all his hurt and anguish, because all those things hadn't been worked out on the front end. The fact that he had all those children and the irresponsibility, he had no connection. It's like it was almost like a dog using the bathroom on a fire hydrant. He knows every time he sees a fire hydrant, he got to piss on it. But at the same time, every time he pee on the fire hydrant, babies are created. And I see a lot of young men, because they haven't been raised with strong fathers and strong father figures, or too strong of a father figure. Abuse is transgenerational, and what you saw with Dr. Dre was just an example of it. I believe he was jealous of Michell'e, to the point where some of these guys, when you start singing, they meet you that way, and once they see you having a little success that way, and people liking you, and guys liking you, and bigging you up, a lot of them, while they might smile like they appreciate you, a lot of them are really jealous behind closed doors, and they'll try to do anything to destroy you, because that's what happened to me. and do anything to sabotage your career at the same time. Act as if that's not what they're doing. And you saw a glimpse of that when Dr. I'm not going to give away too many spoilers, but when he said, when everybody was crazy about her voice, and then when she said, "Oh, I guess I'm a member of NWA," and he said, "Why?" Well, any bitch can do something like that. That type of mentality. Dr. Dre, in all fairness, has since at least came out and apologized to the women, all the women he hurt. But I think that he needs to give us a specific apology. That universal shit doesn't wash with me. I think that you should give an individual policy. This is my opinion to these women by name, especially the one that bore your children, because they deserve that much respect. And if you can't do that, then you really low down. You should say, I'm sorry to Val for doing XYZ. I'm sorry to Michell'e for all the blah, blah, blah. That, to me, is a more sincere apology than that universal smorgasbord all across the board stuff that I think is weak and cowardly. I know that when you find insecure men, they'll beat on you. And when you find insecure women, they'll allow themselves to be beat on. Just remember that. I hope y'all get a chance to watch the documentary. It's given a whole new meaning to Beats by Dre, as Wendy Williams said. And I also think that it is also a good a good example of what domestic violence look like that we accept in our communities, that our mamas and grandmamas give us messed up information like, yeah, you gotta take that from a man. That right there in itself is why we are so set up to be sick as women, with women in our lives telling us that it's okay to get beat up, okay? And that back in the day this was acceptable. So nowadays you have a lot of powerful men that show you, just like Donald Trump said, oh, I'll grab him right by the pussy. Because most of us as women will sell our souls out just to have an easy way out. Remember, we're the receptors, so we receive things, and we are looking for, sometimes somebody to take care of us, somebody to do the hard work, the stuff that we don't want to do. But I contend that women are just a female representation of a supreme being. So what you can do with your limited physical capabilities, you make up for it in intuition, wisdom, grace, magic. And I think those are the things that we need as women to get back in touch with, because once we do that and we teach that to our daughters, you won't see a situation where you will see women getting physically beat. Like I said, and I'm not trying to make excuses for her or anybody else, I was in an abusive relationship with a guy, and he hit me one time, and that was it. While I stayed, I didn't get hit anymore, okay? But I was never comfortable in the relationship anyway, and that's another whole story. We'll get into that some other time. But it's very it's very easy to see how Michell'e, as far as I'm concerned, ended up in a situation where she was with a supreme narcissist who beat her ass just for being there, and who was a very coward, immature, alcoholic, dysfunctional man in the hood, which I believe 98.8%, a lot of brothers, street brothers, have that kind of mentality, that needs therapy, that needs help. Okay? So, if you haven't seen it, check it out. It's on YouTube now at this point. I Survived Compton, I think is what it said. or something to that effect. But it was a real good documentary, and I don't take my hats off to Michell'e for exposing that hard part about her life that I know couldn't have been easy. Okay. All right. So if you like what you hear, and y'all please leave your comments below. I know it's difficult. Nobody hardly want to talk about they've been in an abusive relationship or things like that, but we're all human. We've all made some mistakes and done things that we're not particularly proud of. So I just want to know what y'all take is on the documentary if you've seen it. It was a straight narcissist, codependent reality that an abusive situation that it could happen anywhere USA. Okay. We'll talk to you later, and we'll see you next time in the mental house. Bye-bye.